students, welcome to our presentation entitled Making a Difference in Global Health. Today, I would love to discuss with you what exactly does global public health mean. I'd like to share with you how I developed my passion for global health, and I'd like to share with you some global health opportunities in Jacksonville, and then perhaps how you can get involved in global health opportunities in your area. So let's begin with a definition of global health. What does global public health actually mean? And I'd like to read to you this paragraph. The health of populations in a global context. It has been defined as the area of study, research, and practice that places a priority on improving health and achieving equity in health for all people worldwide. Equity in health is the key point there. Problems that transcend national borders or have a global political and economic impact are often emphasized. Thus, global health is about worldwide health improvement, reduction of disparities, and protection against global threats that disregard national boundaries. Global health is not to be confused with international health, which is defined as the branch of public health focusing on developing nations and foreign aid efforts by industrialized countries. So there's often a little disconnect there in the differentiation between global health and international health. So this class is on global health that we'll be focusing on. And global health issues are also our own local issues. Their problems are our problems, and of course our problems end up being their problems as well. We're all completely interconnected all around the world. For example, their issues could be termed, Zika, Ebola, dengue fever, tuberculosis, refugees seeking better lives, overpopulation. And then our issues are deforestation, water stress, climate change, and Zika, Ebola, dengue fever, TB, refugees, overpopulation. Their issues become our issues, and our issues become their issues. We're all focusing with the same challenges all around the world because of advances in transportation. It's just so quickly to get from point A to point B, and so many other components that feed into global health. Just looking at some global health stories in the past, it took just one person to bring Zika to the United States, just one person on an airplane. And it quickly spread from Liberia to the United States. Oh, I'm sorry. Quickly spread from Brazil to the United States. And then looking at Ebola, once again, quickly spread from Liberia to the United States. Just right on an airplane. It's quick and easy. There was a dengue fever outbreak in Vietnam. Just one mosquito that comes from Vietnam can pass it on, or one individual can pass on that challenge to the United States. And also refugee issues affect all of us around the world. And these are some images from the last couple of years with the huge number of refugees who left their countries due to political strife and challenges of all sorts and left seeking a better world. And unfortunately, as we've all seen in the media, many refugees die in their escape. They never make it to their country, their final destination. And these are just some images that I found in the media. Another challenge, female oppression is rampant in the developing world. We all remember Malala, who just wanted to get an education in Pakistan, and she was shot in the head and recovered, and has become a real model for us around the world for women's education. And then I also have an image from acid attacks in Pakistan and stoning. There was a woman stoned to death because something had happened to her family, and she was the one blamed. So she was stoned to death by her own family, by her father, by her brother-in-law, by her brother. They were the first ones to toss stones at her to begin the attack. Some other global health issues focus on, like there was a woman in India, and a Muslim woman wanted to get there was a divorce, and actually her husband, I'm sorry, wanted to get a divorce, and all he had to do was repeat the word talaq 3 times, and he would be free from her. He would be formally divorced. And here she was left with no resources, no way to recover from this, and her life was over in a day. Talaq, 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 and her life changed. We also have climate variability from global warming. The world is getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and each year is hotter. Each month is hotter than ever recorded, ever recorded. And the challenges that we're facing from global warming are amazing. This is an image of global temperatures around the world. They've really skyrocketed for the first time. Heat and also very vibrant storms, very significant storms where a tremendous amount of water is dropped in a very short period of time. Another issue that came from China, came from them to us, global becoming local, was pollution. And this is an image from ozone chemicals that were created in China from the factories, floated over the Pacific to California, and helped create this intense, environmental challenges all around the west of the United States, specifically in California. So once again, global health issues are also our own local issues, and we'll be studying some of these throughout this semester. So now we'll move on to, well, how did I develop my true passion for global public health? Well, I'm going to give you a little overview of my background. This is, on a high level, what I've done in my past, and I'll go through each of these issues in a moment. But to start with, I've always wanted to try to make a difference in the world. My goal at 6 was to do something meaningful, to make a difference in the world. I started saving all my allowance to buy a round orphanage to save children when I was 6, and this slowly changed, and a Laotian boat family was taken in by our community, and I was the one selected to befriend the young girl who was my age. There were 5 girls that came with nothing. Their father was a government official, and during the Vietnam War, they had to flee with nothing. And so I befriended this young girl, and her family has been very close to me ever since. And it was so fascinating learning about the Laotian culture, learning about the Laotian food, listening to their language and how interesting it was. I really decided, God, it was kind of interesting. I love learning about this culture, and I love the fact that we were helping this family. So I thought, God, wouldn't it be nice to give back, to do something to help other people around the world, like our community helped this one family. And so I ended up applying after college for the Peace Corps, and also a program called World Teach, which I ended up pursuing, which was really exciting. I was sent with World Teach to Thailand. I'd never been there before. I didn't speak the language. I just spoke a little bit of Lao from my friend. And I could count to 10 and say hello and name some Laotian food. And Lao language is very similar to Thai. So I decided to go to Thailand to start World Teach's first program there. I was sent to the north in Chiang Mai, and was there for a year and absolutely loved it. I ended up staying 4 years, and my first year I worked in a college. This picture on the lower right is the technical college where I worked, Rajamangala Institute of Technology on Lana campus. It was exciting. It was a Buddhist college, and I was the first foreigner they'd ever met, and it was exciting. We'd feed monks. The monks would come in 6 in the morning. We'd offer them food, and it was really quite exciting. Anyway, I stayed for a year. I stayed for a second year to develop the new World Teach orientation, and I helped them create a Thai language and culture program for new U.S. volunteers who would come to World Teach. It was really exciting. Chiang Mai was beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been there before. It's called the Rose of the North, or the Land of Temples. These are some of the pictures of temples that you can find in Thailand. I live not too far from this one temple, Suthep, and this is called the Cloud Temple. And there's a picture of it in the upper left-hand side there, looking over the city of Chiang Mai. And it was absolutely gorgeous. In addition to working at Rajamangala, I also joined relief missions and to provide assistance to hill tribe populations in northern Thailand on the Lao border during my school breaks and on long weekends, this was just absolutely fascinating. I got to work on a multidisciplinary team with architects, nurses, doctors, public health professionals, and we would go and focus on a project. We'd fix schools, we would build houses, we would always provide basic first aid to the populations. It was really exciting. We'd sleep on a dirt floor on a hut, and we'd get up early and work for 2 or 3 days and accomplish just tons. It was really exciting. It's helped me learn the Hmong language, which I would use later on in my life. And this leads me to my second job after 2 years with World Teach. I was going to come home and go to grad school, but I got the job of a lifetime. I couldn't believe it. I applied for actually a Thai position with Save the Children in the Panatnakhom refugee camp, and interviewed in Thai and actually got the job. It was really exciting. So I went from Chiang Mai in the north down to Chonburi, which is about 4 hours southeast of Bangkok. It's right here circled in purple. And worked in this Indo-Chinese refugee camp. And this camp was the last camp that refugees would go to prior to their resettlement in their third country. So there'd be, you're born in your first country, you flee the boundaries of that country for security or safety in another country. You stay there in a temporary existence or in a temporary refugee camp. And then the Panatnakhom camp was where the refugees would be processed and sent to their third country, either to Canada, United States, or Japan were the primary countries that would be taking these refugees. So the refugees from the camp which I worked, these are some pictures of them. They were, of course, Indo-Chinese. There were about 20 to 30,000 over the couple of years. It was open for about 30 years. There were Vietnamese refugees. There were also refugees from the Pol Pot regime from Cambodia. I don't know if you've heard anything about the Pol Pot regime, where over 1 million people were killed. Anyone with glasses was killed because they were educational, because they were seen as educated, and you should read something about the Pol Pot. It's just horrendous. It's like the Holocaust, but in Cambodia. So there were many people from there as well. I started out teaching. I taught special education to pre-illiterate adults, which was unbelievable. And I also then moved into work with in maternal and child health. These pictures here on the left, they were my teens. I also managed a community health center, and here I was teaching them to cook. I was actually teaching them to make bagels. They don't even have bread in Thailand. I was teaching them to make bagels, which was interesting. This is a family in the middle, a Vietnamese family. They were going to America, and they said, please take a picture of us in front of, this was painted on one of our buildings. I had one of my students who was incredibly artistic paint images from America on all of our school buildings. And on the right, these were my science students from the community health center. I'm sorry. And we really didn't have much supply, so we had these big jars, and we went and collected specimens from ponds and from the field. So these are some of my students. As I mentioned, most of the students were from Laos, Cambodia, or Vietnam. These are some of my younger students. Adorable. This is a typical house. In my camp, you can see these buildings here. The walls were actually made of asbestos. They put up these temporary tarps in the rainy season to prevent the rain from washing away their homes. The big, I can't think of what this is called in English, but this holds all the water that this community will share together. There's absolutely no privacy. You'll put on your piscine and just shower right here in the middle of the community. It's unfortunate, but that's how it's set up. As you know, refugee camps cannot be permanent. There can't be any roads, anything at all with cement. It has to be able to be resettled immediately. So you have to be able to pick up everything within a day and move it because it's temporary. So there's no formal water piping or anything for these folks. Some more pictures of the water. This picture on the left, it's during a flood during the monsoon season. You can see water was everywhere and the children were playing in it. This is the communal water area. Mother's bathing her small children. This gentleman here is gathering water for his home. And these little adorable children are playing in an open